Good morning, everybody. Knocking LaCroix can on my table. I am Aspiring Spike, and Diabolic Intent is legal and modern now. They're doing a really weird release system of Brothers War, where all the cards are in the database, which I actually I like this. Oh. Okay, I don't like this as much. You can see the cards. You can see the cards. Think about Dominaria. Your card, Dragon Engine. You can see the cards last night. Oh, sorry. I had the quantity set to 1. Okay, never mind. So I like this. That the whole set is visible on Magic Online, which means you can deck build at Magic Online before pre-release, which is always something I always prefer to do my deck building on Magic Online than anywhere else. So that's cool. That being said, the cards are not out on Magic Online, so and then they won't be out for another week. But they are allowing cards that are reprinted to be played, which is very odd, very odd. But it's good for content at least, and that means that the only card really printed into Modern that has any implications at all is Diabolic Intent. This is Demonic Tutor, but you have to sacrifice a creature. Demonic Tutor is a pretty powerful effect. Having to sacrifice a creature is a pretty big downside, but it does work pretty well with some cards, most notably Bloodghast, Tutor Supplier, in this deck. Several other cards in the format you can pair it with. I thought that this is where we were going to start with Diabolic Intent, and we may still play this today. This is the red-black Grief sacrifice deck that we do really well with. I think we have an 8% win rate without Intent, and Intent is a card that I think may be a good upgrade. I have 3 in the deck at the moment. That being said, Kroxa is currently bugged on Magic Online. Where you have to pay 6 for escape instead of 4. I don't know why that would happen, but it happened. And Kroxa also feels like one of your main Intent to tutor targets. So we may just wait until that is fixed. So I was kind of looking to find a different shell for the deck last night. And I started off kind of thinking that this package of cards, let me go ahead and pull these out. I thought that this package of cards, 4 Tutor Supplier, 4 Bloodghast, 4 Persist, 4 Diabolic Intent, 4 Archon of Cruelty was pretty interesting, with at least 1 Unmarked Grave as a tutor target. I thought this was a pretty interesting package of cards. Expanding on that further, I felt that Bone Shards was I don't like Bone Shards very much. You guys will probably know I don't like to usually include this in Reanimator, but in a deck that is playing Bloodghast, in a deck that is playing a much more all-in high synergy version, I think Bone Shards is actually a great card. I actually found myself intenting for it a lot to get a Archon into yard and then Persist. However, when I was kind of looking at and then I also think the Grief package slots pretty cleanly into the deck, or is something that you're at least somewhat interested in trying to fit in. But the big problem with this shell is that you're really lacking another creature that goes with your Grief plan, and another creature that is good with Diabolic Intent. And I believe I have found that creature. The card is Archfiend's Vessel, a card that has been on a very powerful card, and a card that's been on my radar for a very long time. It's a 1-mana 1/1 lifelink, and when it enters the battlefield, if it entered from your graveyard or you cast it from your graveyard, you exile it, and then you make a 5/5 flying demon token. So what's cool about this card is you can sack it to your Intent or your Village Rites, and if you have either a Malakir Rebirth, Feign Death, or Undying Evil, you get to bring this card back into play and make a 5/5 demon while also furthering your deck's game plan. I had 1 copy of Unearth in the deck last night as a Diabolic Intent target, but the more I'm thinking about it, the less I think that you will actually get the Unearth. I think it's not going to happen that often. And so I ended up cutting it for another Undying effect, because I think it's a bit better. You also do have an Agadeem's Awakening that you could tutor for if you just have nothing, right? If you have a lot of lands, you don't have Archon in the yard, you can still get your Agadeem's Awakening to do the same thing. For 4 mana instead of 1, though, obviously a little bit different. So I think that this card really ties the room together pretty well. And Village Rites is another card that I think is going to be very good with the Bloodghast Stitcher Supplier plan. I wish we had like one more card that was good to mill over with Supplier. But it is what it is. So does Persist on Vessel work? I'm under the impression that Persist on Vessel does not work. I'm under the impression that the Persist will bring back the Vessel will immediately die because it has a -1 counter, and then the trigger doesn't happen because it's not in play to exile. If you can exile it from the graveyard, I don't think that's how it works, but judge question on that. Additionally, Diabolic Intent lets you play a lot of cool sideboard cards. Diabolic Intent lets you put an Orvar in your hand against Archon decks, lets you grab a Necromantia, a Surgical Extraction, back to Nixure against Rest in Peace Leyline, Collector Ouphe against Artifact-based Graveyard Hate, Culling Ritual against Hammer Time, Pithing Needle, Chalice of the Void. Additionally, you have Path of Peril for Hammer Time and others like decks like Merfolk. I played against Merfolk twice last night, beat Merfolk twice last night. And then Thoughtseize. A lot of times you're going to want to cut the Bone Shards for Thoughtseizes, I think. Okay, let's keep this. The bug is now Kroxa cost 6 mana to escape, which is weird, right? Okay. I guess I'm pitching Bloodghast. No, I'll pitch the Intent. So if I draw a land, I can play Bloodghast and target that with Bone Shards if I need to Bone Shards to get the Archon in the yard. Yeah, Alchemy. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's very likely with the migration, right? That Daybreak Games is going through growing pains. All escape costs are normal costs plus cards and mana costs. Yeah, it's just so like weird that this kind of stuff happens. What does happen? Do be happening. Okay. Yeah, so if we draw a land, we can play the Bloodghast and use that as something to target with the Bone Shards. Obviously, but it could also give us a target. There's a... Okay, I guess... Yeah, I guess I'm just supposed to Bone Shards my own grief here. Be 2 lost and toss to try Intent in a Mentor list. In Monastery Mentor decks, you cannot play cards that are only good if you have Monastery Mentor plus a token in play. That this is my philosophy, is that you cannot play cards that only do something if you have Mentor plus a token in play. And I think that for the most part, that will be the case. Like, maybe you play Lingering Souls too, but it's just not where you need to be. Natty Tron, baby! Natty Tron. Let's go. Just a Thragtusk, though, for now. Yeah, all the Tron players are on Thragtusk now. I don't really get it. I don't really get it. I don't know. The thing about Tron players is, like, you know, one person does well in an event, and everyone's like, yep, Thragtusk good now, Thragtusk good now. But I don't really, I don't know, does anybody know why Thragtusk is, like, a card they're playing now? It's because of all the Blood Moons, maybe? Would Thought Monitor be possible in Red Black Anvil? I don't know. I feel like for the most part, you'd rather be, like, Thopter Sword comboing in the late game instead. Any excuse to play Thragtusk? Yeah, that, like, genuinely is... probably the best explanation, huh? The Thrag probably shows some respect. Listen, I played Thragtusk all standard, and I haven't really played them much since. I played like one in like some Kiki core decks, I guess. Thragtusk is there as a main board slowdown for Burn. Yeah, like how relevant is that in current Modern? You know what I mean? Like Burn is like somewhat popular, but not so popular. I'd be interested in like main deck metagame hedges for it. Maybe at LGS. Thrag is good versus Solitude compared to Wormcoil. Sure, that's something. Yeah, I like that that thought. I just need something with this kind of stuff, like some kind of argument, you know. And the burn thing is a real argument for sure, but. Okay, just gonna grieve so I can try to get them hellbent here. Okay. If they had one land, one spell, they discarded a land. I get them Hellbent. Them having neither land nor spell is fine. Or sorry, no spell is fine. So I guess because if you get Besage, you can cast it pretty easily. I mean, yeah, these are all like arguments for sure. I guess I'm gonna play Supplier because this Bloodghast has haste next turn. But we should be, should be getting them if they don't top deck something big, since the Archon is plus the Bloodghast kills them next turn. Why is Intent 50% more expensive? People want to play with the new cards. That's really it. People are paying a premium. There's a demand for like exactly this week. They'll go back down. Good morning, Rabid. Thoughts on Enchantress going forward? I know you always thought it was underplayed. I still think that Enchantress is like a good deck that is underplayed, and that attitude hasn't changed for me. But it's still like a deck that I don't have ideas on really how to improve upon, or like no like big ideas, and it's also a deck that I'm just like not super interested in playing usually. So I guess that's why you don't see me play it. Okay, let's bring in the Necromancer is pretty slow on the draw actually. Necromancer, like, it's just like too slow to stop Tron on the draw. So maybe we're doing something like bringing in the Needle, bringing in the Collector Ouphe, cutting the Bone Shards, bringing in the Thoughtseizes, going down on Rites, Archfiend's Vessel, and bringing Necromancer on the play. Okay. Do definitely wish this Collector Ouphe was a card I had on the play here, but we'll keep this. Maybe I'm supposed to keep in one Bone Shards to be able to discard Archon as a tutor target. Yeah, just turn 2 Ouphe in the play may have been a easy cheesy win. Oh man, but maybe we'll draw a Pithing Needle off the top. Why Bone Shards bad? Kills everything except Ulamog. People always talk about like this is like Archon also kills everything. Archon is going to passively kill all of your Tron's opponent's stuff, is like, at least like your plan if you need to answer something. But like reactively like removing their Karns and their Wormcoil Engines and their Thragtusks and their Ugins is not a good plan. It's just not a plan that is going to win you many games. Feels good to be the one having it after not having it for a while. Maybe my opponent will have it, but when has a Tron player ever been the one to have it? See, never. It's gotta have been their draw for turn, right? Am I liking my Magna EDH? I've played some more with it. There's like a few cards I'm kind of interested in changing, but I got to put every dragon and artifact into my deck the other day. I did it all main phase and said if you have a sweeper you can win, and no one had a sweeper. But I got to put with Ashnod's Altar, Atsushi, and Niv Deathmantle. Let me put every dragon and artifact from my deck into play. Damn it. Come on, opponent. Why would you do this to me? Remixologist, this is 2 games in a row. They just ripped it. Just ripping it. So I think I do this so I can go Intent Unmarked Grave into Intent Persist. Although maybe it's better to just double Intent here. I think that plays a bit better around a sweeper. Although I guess I could also attack with my Bloodghast. Yeah, I think the ability to attack with my Bloodghast is probably a little bit more relevant. It's the higher upside line against an opponent with Tron. You guys just have to take the higher upside line. Hope that they plus the Karn again. Awesome Remixologist, welcome to the stream. Immediately minus on Collector Ouphe. Not looking too good, chat. I mean, we have game 3 on the play. Just really feel like this was our game to win with them like stumbling on turn 3. They're getting Tormod's Crypt. We can go ahead and pack it in. Game 3 on the play. So Necromancer is a card I definitely want on the play because this, if I have turn 2 Intent, I can get Necromancer and just stop them from ever getting to do their thing. I think I'm also interested in 1 Bone Shards as a tutor target. Let's do this. Yeah, there's like a lot of bad beats today, honestly. Like, my opponent's 1 Mystery card with Spell Pierce. My Creativity opponent had a 7-card Leyline hand. I played against Smallpox, and they do the Torpor Orb, and Torpor Orb was way better against me than I expected. A lot of, Tron opponents ripping Natural Tron 2 games in a row. Rough day. Okay. So, this hand, if it draws a land, can Diabolic Intent for Necromancer. We can also we have a few different lines we can take here. I can also mill over an Archon, Intent for a Persist. Chromatic Sphere. Lots of good draws here too. Huh. It's a confusing draw. Okay, I think I'm still going to cast Diabolic Intent here. I don't really know what I'm getting exactly. So I milled over Bloodghast. So I could get Bone Shards, could get Thoughtseize myself. I could get Necromancer. The problem with getting Necromancer is I have if I get Necromancer, I have so many dead draws next turn. If the plan is draw land, why do you fetch on turn 1 instead of shocking when you know life total is irrelevant? I guess I just made a sequencing mistake. Please tweet about it. Okay, I'm gonna grab the Necromancer. I don't know, I mean, there's I don't know, usually sequencing mistakes like this, there's it's not anything deeper, that's just a mistake. Okay, they grabbed a relic, which is interesting here. I wonder if I draw a land, if Bloodghast if they'll pop it in response to Bloodghast. Okay, I'm just gonna cast the Bloodghast because I have nothing else to do. Sorry, this is my alarm to not scream because Esther's in a meeting. Was it a bad line to Feign Death and Village Rites that turn? It was maybe better than what ended up happening. One thing is when we intent our Supplier, we still get to mill 3 and persist and potentially mill over an Archon, so we have half as many looks, but more selection there. There's definitely a lot of things that could have gone right, and a lot of them have gone wrong the last couple turns. Halhan, 2 months, thank you. Lawless Troll? Oh no, why would you say that to me? Okay, there's no way Lawless Troll makes the other deck, right? This is the same Tron opponent. Throw some dredgers in there. Yeah, throw some dredgers in there. Yeah, we won game 1, and then game 2, they went turn 1 map. We drew Needle. We needled the map. Then we Collector Ouphed, and their sphere was turned off. They missed their land drop, and my hand was solid. And I'm feeling really good. And then they just ripped the 3rd Tron piece. I'm gonna lose it if they tank Natty Tron again. I'm gonna totally lose it. Yeah, but I can't scream because Esther's in an interview. 2nd round of interviews. Would I come back and stream some Coffers matchup? I'll play Coffers next. I'll play your pet deck right after this. Brickmaster, 2 months, thank you. Welcome back. Are they trying to identify which land? I mean, it says they've lost connection. I just noticed. They lost connection. So, hopefully they are back and not going to play in Urza's Mine. Yeah, simply get a pillow to scream in when 3 minutes later they play at Urza's Mine. Okay. They're tapping for 1 mana, huh? Probably has, you know, a tutor effect of some kind. Yeah, someone's scrying. And obviously what's sad about this is now our Necromancia is just not going to get the job done. And the land comes 1 turn too late. Opponent does not relic in response to the Bloodghast, which I think is fair. Necrocarn. I think that is probably the line. The problem is, like, even if the zombies aren't, you know, nothing either. Yeah, just name Karn the Great Creator. None in the hand. They do have a Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger, though, which they can't cast this turn. That's a problem, though. That is a problem. Can you do a deck tech Shadow Player Redemptions? You could do them if they're currently available. If they're not, I don't know what's going on. They should be available. Bio 11 months. Thank you. I haven't seen anybody do one today. I don't know if, like, there's just something wrong with the channel points. I didn't turn them off. They got broken the other day. And then I had to add a second option, and then the first option started working again, and then people were doing, you know, like double the channel point deck techs for a while without me noticing. Your Ancient Stirrings return. They were turned off yesterday. Okay, I didn't turn them off yesterday. I didn't, you know, turn them off. Yeah, they may just be broken. Plays Oblivion Stone. So we're definitely looking for Grief or Thoughtseize to get that Ulapog out of the hand. Oh, the mods did it. Yeah, well, there's a Grief. Well, if the mods want to turn it back on. Yeah, mods can't. Yeah, mods can't do that. Okay, so I think that I want to Grief before I Village Rites of Bloodghast, since I don't want my opponent to get Bloodghast and the Grief with their Relic activation. I guess I could just Village Rites the Grief. Okay. There was a deck tech available the whole time, or like the mods did turn it back on, but you got deck 7th. Okay, Relic popped. Okay, yeah, I didn't think the mods could turn off the channel points either. I guess they can. Pioneer Dungeon Elves combo. I think the only time you can really play this card and Necrypt the Anti-Lich, as far as I know, as far as I recall from this card, is when you are, like, infinitely comboing with it. Okay, if we mill over an Archon here, we're actually in okay shape. Okay, did not mill over the Archon. They still have the Oblivion Stone, so, like, I don't know that we would be persisting it next turn anyways. You could have sequenced it the way that you get the Grief trigger after they draw off Relic. No, they just respond to the Feign Death trigger no matter what. There's not a way to sequence when I get the Grief, right? Yeah. I don't like to do this for deck techs, but I've had to do this a lot lately. Like, okay, don't play Cemetery Prowler in your Elves deck. Full stop. Never ever. Don't play this card in Pioneer. Don't play it in your Elves deck. You know, you need to play the 3-mana 2/2 to taps for each creature you control. I found that card to be super important in Elves. For Shaman of the Pack, I would play any number of Shaman of the Pack over any number of this card. I think that this card here, whenever you cast a creature spell with power 5 or greater, trying to combo this with the Zombie Wizard Demilich is not a particularly good plan. It is a very cool plan. I do not deny the coolness of this plan. The plan is also not good. Undeniably cool, not good. Okay, I'm not gonna play around Relic. I'm gonna hold this so I get two Bloodghast triggers here. Nylea's not playable. Don't play Nylea. I also am not a huge fan of Court of Calling and Elves. I can show you how I last built Pioneer Elves, actually. Let me just... That might just be easier. And then you guys, you weirdos who want to know my Pioneer list can check this deck off the list. I was playing Finale because it's like kind of a win condition to a target in addition to just being a tutor that's pretty good to grab your Realm Walker, Circle of Dreams, your one of Marwyn, but it's very clean. I was playing mono green. You could play Shaman of the Pack. You could play, Shaman of the Pack over like these 3 cards and it'd be totally fine. Maybe like these 4 cards, splashing green instead, but very clean. I was playing only 1 Sparse Sentinel. You probably want to play 2. But something close to this, with like kind of these cards being like the 4 flex spots for some number of Shaman of the Pack, just Sparse Sentinels. I also had 3 Immortal Suns in the sideboard as tech for the mono green matchup, which I thought was okay. Thought it was okay tech. Did I play Diabolic Intent? I haven't played it. The problem is Croaks is bugged. That was the deck I was like very excited to play today. Croaks is bugged, and so where it cost 6 mana instead of 4. So I don't know if I want to play it because like Croaks is like one of your main intent targets, I feel. Okay. There's a good chance we just force them to pop the O-Stone next turn, so I don't think I'm supposed to be like Bone Shardsing my own Stitcher Supplier so that I get to maybe mill an Archon, especially when they have the Oblivion Stone in play here. Play Squee instead? Yeah, I might just play Squee instead. Croaks is like so much more powerful with Intent, is like absolutely like the problem I have in my mind, but they just grabbed a Beseiju, that's fine. They're at 7, we have 7 points of power, they do have the pesky Oblivion Stone. Yeah, I love Bloodghast. I am really thinking that if you want to play Diabolic Intent and you're not playing Yawgmoth combo, you should probably have 4 Bloodghast in your deck. Thoughts on Intent in a zombie show with Lily Bombardment. We did a deck tech for that idea yesterday. That looked okay. Cool line. Very cool line. Beseiju the fetch land. Love it. That was like the smartest Tron play I've ever seen. Magus the 19 months? I guess they didn't need to do it main phase, but cool line. So let's make them pop the O-Stone and then hope to mill a Persist when my Supplier dies. Goodbye, tell you my opinion on the best cost reduction combo neighbor for Ackright Gwenwa deck. The best one in mod, there's a 6 mana lets you cast zombies for 0 mana. And that is only modern legal, it's not Pioneer legal. That one is the best one. Oh, we milled over the Archon, awesome. That one is the best one. It's not legal in the format. I guess I could, if they have Dismember, they die. Yeah, Rooftop Storm. In Pioneer, there's not a combo enabler for it, but I also just like don't think you can play it in Pioneer. I don't think it is like close to a Pioneer playable card. But you can try it in Modern with Rooftop Storm. Why was it smart to Beseiju the fetch? So this stops me from being able to fetch and bring back my Bloodghasts. Oh yeah, the alerts are louder because I have my desktop audio higher from yesterday's God of War stream. Man, we may win this game kicking and crying and complaining the entire time and yelling at chat the entire time. I can't believe I don't know. We lost a game 2 that I thought I was never gonna lose. Then we won a game 3 I thought I was never gonna win. So I guess it just shows I don't know anything. We can keep this. We can go Agadeem's Awakening, Supplier, Village Rites to Supplier. Hope for the best. Expect, the best. Yeah, complaining just equals a win. I guess I need to complain more. Yeah, Uro also costs 7. So yeah, the escape cards have... Oh, baby. Let's go. Think Boggles will be okay in Pioneer? Not really. So, like, I've seen some, like, preliminary drafts, but, like, my issue with Boggles is I actually think if you lose the die roll against mono green, you're not actually gonna be able to race it that often. A lot of the time, but like the Auras deck was like a lot faster than like the hexproof version that I've seen people playing. And then Red Black has Extinction Event and Liliana, which I think is going to be a particularly big issue. Temporary Lockdown is becoming a pretty popular card in Pioneer as well, and obviously that is a card that you don't want to be running into as Boggles. But it would just have to be something you play test. But I also am not really of the opinion that it's like that the new Rancor is gonna be the answer either. Could you do a deck tech? I could, yes. I don't know if you look at primers. I could take a look at the primers. Boros Blinkblade. Okay, I mean, this looks very similar to what I've played in the past. I don't know if you take a look at primers. I have some thoughts on the deck. Okay, I don't know where the primer section is, but can you just like maybe post in the chat your thoughts on the differences here? I see that you are on no Blood Moons, and you're playing Rabbit Battery, and you're only playing 3 Ragavan, and you're playing Phyrexian Dragon Engine. Seem to be the key differences from like the version I played last. I do have some thoughts on that. But we can. Like, one thing is you should play 4 Ragavans. It's boring. You need to play 4 Ragavans. Also, so this is not the same. I don't know if you've just like come across like if this is just a brew you've played without like being super familiar with this channel, I guess. But I've played a lot of Boros Stoneblade with 4 Fervent Champion in it, and Fervent Champion is very, very good in the deck. Being able to equip for 0 mana, specifically like making swords equip for 0 mana, is like a genuinely powerful thing to be doing. Primer above the card image. Okay, view primer. This is a lot to read. Stoneforge Goblin Engineer. I thought they had overlapping synergies. Even if Engineer dies, Incarnation is a part I'll be sure about. Any constructive all caps feedback appreciate. By constructive, I mean providing specific card to remove and reasoning for why. Okay. It's usually what I try to do here. Okay. So one thing is I don't know if you're familiar with this deck. I've played a ton on the stream. I really like it. But let me just show you. I have a lot of different versions too. But I feel like a lot of my ideas are going to involve like pivoting towards a version that is more like this, and then I'll talk a bit about why there's some of your card choices I don't necessarily love. Hold on, let me also... Do they just not have anything? Kind of seems like they have nothing. I definitely want to hold up the Village Rites so that if they do find like a exile-based removal spell here, we milled over Bloodghast, that's pretty big. I would be able to Village Rites in response. So this is obviously like you're more in on artifact synergies. We can talk about this version, but this is pretty close to what I've played in the past. This is a Blood Moon focused deck, and like having Blood Moon as like interaction against big mana and combo decks is really premium. When you play a deck like this that only has 3 copies of Ranger Captain as any amount of interaction for big mana and combo decks, and you're playing a deck that realistically can't Goldfish your opponent until like turn 4, turn 5, like you're just going to be too slow against a huge chunk of the metagame without like Blood Moon to slow your opponent down is one thought I have as well. Fervent Champion is the best 1-drop in the deck. It makes your swords much more powerful. Equipping to 0 on a hasty creature is very good, and Ranger Captain tutors up your Fervent Champion, so you have a lot of like redundancy as well. Additionally, the biggest problem you have with this deck, this Goblin Engineer Phyrexian Engine deck, is you don't have enough artifacts to sacrifice to your Goblin Engineer. You have like 3 Esper Sentinels, which you would prefer to leave in play. You have 1 Mishra's Research Desk. And like that is like literally the only artifact here that likes to be sacrificed is your 1 copy of Research Desk. And like for the most part, this is not a powerful card advantage engine unless you're playing artifacts that like to be sacrificed, if that makes sense. So like this is not something I would include without like minimum 6 cards like Experimental Synthesizer, Mishra's Bauble plus Oni Cult Anvil, artifacts that like to be sacrificed. So that's a big issue I see. You need to play 4 Ragavan, you need to play 4 Ranger Captain. You're also playing, I think, too many tutor targets too. This is a very common issue in my opinion with toolbox cards, is playing way too many tutor targets. So you have Grafted Wargear, Cauldra, Shadow Spear, Rabbit Battery. I mean, okay, maybe it's not way too many, but at the very least, like Rabbit Battery and Grafted Wargear are both like relatively weak tutor targets, and I think that playing these kind of tutor targets in your deck is going to more so, it is going to do more to lower the power level of your deck than it will to increase consistency. And this is a very important concept I like to talk about, but Magic is just always a conversation of power level versus consistency. And like these 2 cards, I think lower your power level more than they increase consistency. You've added Urza Saga to the deck. Urza Saga is a card that is obviously powerful, but I think that it is... I don't like it very much in Boros Stoneblade, where you're a very color-intensive deck. You're playing Esper Sentinel, Ragavan, Ranger Captain, and there's a lot of tension with you wanting to get ahead on board early, playing your Stoneforge Mystics, your Engineers, your equipment, your Stoneforge Mystic activations, and activating Urza Saga. And obviously, like, you can plan ahead, but for the most part, I think that this is not a very good Urza Saga deck. For Urza Saga deck, you have to be playing lots and lots of artifacts. You're not really playing enough to like make me feel like you're playing so many that your Saga tokens are going to be 4/4 or 5/5s all the time. Or you need to tutor up a busted artifact, and you're not doing either of those, you know. I think this is our sideboard plan. Does Springleaf help with that? Sorry, I'm making a lot of points, but I mean, Springleaf is good, but this is why I prefer this kind of version to, you know, like the Engineer package doesn't really fit in my opinion. This one's like much leaner, much cleaner. You're playing 3 Sword of Fire because you're just happy to draw 4 Sword of Fire Nice in your deck with Fervent Champion, 4 Ranger Captains. Your that is the version, you know, I would recommend to you, and I would recommend not registering Grafted Wargear. And I don't think there's some like weird combo with it either, but so it could be missing something. Talking more about single deck than ever deck review. I play jank. Well, the problem with I play bad decks is like to some extent bad decks just wants like validation, and bad decks also like wants to play the bad version. So like I usually give like, you know. It's hard for me to do much with those, right? And it was hard to do like literally anything with Lutri Toolbox combo with Mutate Infinite combo. Wargear to be able to unearth Engine and equip on the same turn. Yeah, I don't think that is like that's a kind of a win more argument, right? Where like you have to have this 3 mana equipment in play, 5 mana, Engine in the graveyard. When Engineer's in the graveyard and you're unearthing it, it's already going to be good for you. You only get 1 attack with it too. I don't know. It's just not an argument that's really resonating with me, I guess. I found Wargear was strong with a Fury, Ephemerate, Dragon Engineer. Yeah, I could be wrong about, you know, this is obviously something that I should say more. With these deck techs, it's just always, you know, my opinions and experience. I'm not... Dude, I keep milling out Archon with Supplier. I'm pretty hyped about it. I'm wrong all the time. I'm wrong all the time. And you just have to weigh what I say against your own experiences and, you know, determine if you think I am right or wrong. And then if I'm wrong, you know, like maybe make like a mean comment on a YouTube channel. Not my YouTube channel, but somebody's. They're playing Kavu? I'm starting to think I played against a person in paper who played Territorial Kavu and Rhinos, and they were just like, I'm okay cascading into it. Opponent, you also are not allowed, you're not legally allowed to complain about my Supplier hits and have Endurance in your hand. That's illegal. First strike trample. Brutal. I'm going to block, though. Have experimented with the 4-color Ameth deck anymore? Not much. Like, I've been kind of, like, toying with Decklist, but I've also seen, you know, other people play lists that look solid. One card to Deepam. Maybe it's in the sideboard for EE. Maybe. Did cite out my Bone Shards. I guess I'm bringing them back in, seeing Territorial Kavu. I usually cite in the first copy of Boil against Titan. Usually think it's good enough. That is also good enough. Oh, I should have let the Cascade trigger and seen more of their deck. Yeah, they could have hit a Kavu. They could have hit a Kavu, huh? Weird game. I think I'll play like 2 or 3 Bone Shards. Let's go. Bring the Bone Shards back in. I think I might just be off the Necromantia. Chalice is probably just what I want to get instead. I can cut 2 vessels. Is this Zoo with Rhinos the flavor? Yeah, I played against somebody in paper who just like, I'm playing Kavu because it's a good 2-mana threat, and if I Cascade and don't hit Rhinos, I'm just kind of okay with it. Kavu is pretty good to hit. No Culling Ritual. We have Path to Peril, which I think is a bit better than Culling Ritual. Have the vessels, but they've been okay. Like, the problem is, like, you just can't play 8 Stitcher Suppliers, so you have Archfiend's Vessel in the deck. And it obviously has, like, you know, good synergy with the Malakir Rebirths. I think the biggest problem is, like, Modern's, like, pretty good against tokens. That I would say that was my biggest issue. All right, we'll take the removal spells, then we can maybe Path of Peril the Kavu. Could you make a new Urza list with the new Ironclast? I probably could. What does the new Ironclast do again? Is that the 3-mana 1/1 double strike card? Because there is some interesting overlap between those two cards where both are like artifacts that work well with Ephemerate. Oh, Ironclast. Or I could see an Urza. Like, I think Ironclast is going to fit very well into blue-red decks that play Urza Saga. The problem is that for the most part, the list of blue-red decks that play Urza Saga is like pretty restricted to just Underworld Breach. Like that's like kind of like the end of the list. You know what I mean? Although you could maybe play like just a Teamer value. You know, like Teamer. Channeler, Bobble, Shredder, Iconoclast, whatever. Saga, Rin 6. Counterspell, Iteration, something like that. Ironclast. I'm not convinced it makes it to Cut and Breach. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It's got like cool implications there, and I'm like kind of excited about it. I don't know how good it is. 9 Slinger, deck tech. Mostly good chat. I can take a look. Gonna block. Hoping to find an Archon. No, we do find a Bloodghast. Another copy. So land for Path of Peril would be great. We'd also bring back the Bloodghast, but huh. I guess I'm gonna Diabolic Intent for a land. I think Hive is just better than a fetch land. Is your receiver good? Yeah, DRC is good. It's just, I don't know. Mono's got like a lot of good threats lately. Iconoclast. Okay. Iconoclast. Say that's 5 times fast, huh? Okay, deck tech. Pioneer list I'm pretty excited about. Are you kidding? This is card for card, my secret Pioneer deck for Atlanta. Right down to the 2 Sorin the Mirthless. I'll need you to delete this quickly and reveal to me where you got it. Just kidding. Just kidding. Interesting deck. I do like Arcane Proxy a lot. Arcane Proxy with See the Truth is very interesting. My big issue with this, my big issue with having this plan of Arcane Proxy for See the Truth is this is a format where Treasure Cruise is legal. And you're not playing, you have 1 Dig Through Time, but like you probably should have like at least a second Delve spell and a deck with 4 Consider, 4 Ledger Shredder, 4 Tainted Indulgence. You should probably have at least 3 Delve spells, probably 4 Delve spells, and those Delve spells are like just better than Proxy See the Truth, I imagine. That being said, a card that also plays very well with See the Truth that you're not playing is Founding the Third Path. It seems like a card that would be right at home here. And let me smack my opponent with these Bloodghasts, and then Path of Peril, resolve so fast. So that's the issue I really have with this deck. And so one interesting thing is if you play Founding the Third Path and See the Truth, Founding is also going to fill up your yard like relatively well for Treasure Cruise. So that is, you know, something. Okay, so we can attack here, hit my opponent for 2. I guess I should probably Persist Grief also. Should have done that first, actually. Guess I take the card they can cast. Yes, Sorin is a card I don't think fits very well here, and Narset doesn't either. So one thing you could do is you could, you know, be cutting the Sorins and the Narsets, and this would be a good way to find room for like Founding the Third Path and like the 4th See the Truth. And you could also move the Extinction events to the sideboard, and then you could play 3 Treasure Cruise, and you'd have like a somewhat functional deck. And then, you know, play like 4 events in the sideboard for mono green, and, you know, hope, which is, you know, not the best plan. Although you could also play like, you know, Founding the Third Path and Arcane Proxy is pretty good against like with like Aether Gust or like Noxious Grasp against mono green. You might want to lean into that because it's, you know, the 2 mana spell if you do play Founding. Yeah, I don't think you should be playing Narset without being in on the days and doing plan either. So I would just be kind of off the Planeswalkers in general. I guess you are like really light on win cons like that, so I would probably recommend like 2 Halls. Or don't play the Guy Reach, just play like 2 Halls, but maybe no Hive. But that's 2 Halls are very good at closing out games. You can also play Shieldred. Shieldred would be like better than Sorin if you do want to play like 4 drops. Shieldred would be not that bad. Okay, so they're looting instead of exiling my Bloodghast. Vadosi, 21 months, thank you. You guys want to be dead to... You want to be dead to Fire Ice? Not really. No block. I think that a block is fine. Coward's block. I mean, I have like the Hive too, so like if I draw a land, I'm doing okay. They have a Fury in their hand too, right? So if their plan is to like cast Fury, I'm not doing so well against that either. I think it's a good block. And they need 2 removal spells. So Fire Ice would not kill me, put me to 1. But I have to fire both Bloodghast now. There's Fury mystery card. Bloodghast is so good. That card's crazy. Fuck. Oh, they could hit Kavu though. They could hit Kavu. Let's go! They sided on the Kavus. They already played 2 though. Let's go. Man, you probably shouldn't be on these Kavus, huh? Abba, deck tech. Yeah, if you post a link in chat, I can take a look. No, I'm not going to be in Summit. I've just been doing too much traveling to do literally everything. Well, I've been building decks for years at this point, and I gotta say, shoddy workmanship. Shoddy workmanship. And, you know, I like to be very honest when I do deck techs. It hurts me to be as honest as I am sometimes, but bad taste. Bad taste. I put a hot tub here. I would put a poster right here from a Naruto poster, about 5 feet by 4 feet. And I would you know, maybe do some treatment. I would get the leaves off the deck before I submitted it for a deck tech. But good first attempt. Good first draft. Good first draft. Oh yeah, there's a Giganta. I missed the Giganta, the sideboard. That's funny. Good first draft. We're up against Scam. I'm gonna take, I think, Ragavan, and then I don't know, classic Fable versus Seasoned Pyromancer, I guess. The problem is, like, I just don't have much removal for the token. The token is kind of scary. And the Spyro's, like, on turn 3 a little bit. Like, usually Fable's better on turn 3 than Spyro is, and then Spyro's better later. Would I prefer Shieldred over Sword of the Mirthless in Modern? I can't think of any deck where I'd want to play either of those two cards, to be honest. Not exactly a glowing review, but I can't think of any deck where I'd want to play Shieldred or Sorin, really. Play Supplier before land because of Bloodghast. Like, if you want to play a 4-mana black card in Modern, play Turok. Play Turok, play Kroxa. Why is Shieldred bad in Modern but good in Legacy? I mean, this has always been the case of, like, Modern versus Legacy. Modern is, like, the format of, like, premium removal, and, like, the format is, like, the whole format revolves around creatures versus removal. But when Legacy is a lot more revolving around spell-based combo, like, there's just, like, not as much premium removal defining the format. It obviously still exists to some extent, but it is just not the most important thing. Another deck tech. Teamer 12 Delver, baby. Teamer 12 Delver. Okay, it feels like this, this is a funny jab. Is actually the 4th Tarmogoyf in real life. And what can I say? I'm laughing. 12er. Yeah, what 12er. What a good name. 12er is a phenomenal name. Wow. Maybe chat's not all bad. Teamer 12er. Okay, so in Modern, if you're playing a blue-red deck that's full of spells, you have no reason to play Tarmogoyf and Nimble Mongoose over Ledger Shredder and Murktide Regent, besides just wanting to. The only reason to do this is wanting to, which is like not much I could really work with, but You've taken Murktide. You're playing more creatures than they usually do, but Nimble Mongoose and Tarmogoyf are both worse than those other cards you could be playing. But it has no cards in their hand. They're dead if they brick. Is there a Murktide deck that's worth the splash for 6? No, it's not worth it. So, don't play Orvar if you're playing a deck with 1 mana blue counter spells. That is also general advice. If you're going to play 1 mana blue counter spells, don't play Orvar. Just play the counter spells instead. Okay, I am a bit worried about Dothi Voidwalker in this matchup. The problem with this matchup is my opponent's going to have cards like Unlicensed Hearse and Dothy Voidwalker, and maybe also Hidetsugu Consumes All as Graveyard Hate. So I think I like the Culling Ritual. The fact that Path of Peril like misses Hearse, I think makes me just want the Ritual. And I think I'm just not that likely to sideboard super heavily. Maybe just... And the Vessel plan doesn't seem too bad. I might still trim one. Click submit. My thoughts on Breach and submit the Gruul version. I see a lot more Jeskai, but some isn't. Any thoughts about the deck and the evolutions? I mean, I really liked the last Gruul Breach deck I played. I mean, this happens a lot where like I'll like work on a version of a deck. I think that it's like the best version or like very good at least, and it's like so much more proactive than the blue based versions, and the mana curve is a lot lower. And I've played with and against a lot of the blue versions, and I feel like their hand just gets so clogged sometimes. It's just so constipated. It can be so constipated with its draws, and which in very stark contrast to the Gruul version. Okay, I think I'm gonna just go Bone Shards, discard Takenuma. I also really like Fable. Like in the Gruul version, I don't feel like a lack of grindy elements or card selection, especially with the Fable. Maybe a little bit lack of card selection, I guess. Okay, I sure do wish I had this Archon in my hand before this Voidwalker entered the chat. That being said, this is where we are, I guess. What did you cut for Sack Deck and Intent? I ended up going down 1 Mayhem Devil, 3 Village Rites, and then I added 1 Undying Evil and 3 Intent. The problem is Croxa is bugged. Croxa is bugged, and we cannot play test. No bag, gift this up. Thank you. Needle for Hearse. I think that it's a bit narrow to, but you could. Okay. So hopefully my opponent casts Croxa and I can just discard Archon. Would be nice. Croxa, so all of the escape cards, when you escape them, they currently have the mana cost of their front half and their back half. So Croxa costs 6, Uro costs 7. It's odd. Okay, I'm enjoying these deck techs. Okay, I've actually really been wanting a cat lately. I grew up with cats. I love my dog so much, but I've been missing cats. So this is certainly tugging at my heartstrings. This very, very good cat. You can see the goodness in the eyes, although there's a lot of certainly a lot of cats don't have the same goodness. Okay, so we did get the Archon in the yard, and now we get to Diabolic Intent for Persist, and hope for the best. Yeah, Uro nerf finally dropped, Tom. I've been very much wanting a cat, and I think that the only way I could ever have a cat coexist with Athena is if I got it as a kitten, which would be a lot of work. I do think it can work. The problem is I have a husky. The problem is I have a husky who really, really I don't think would do a good job raising a cat. If I just had 2 Lucy's, it'd be fine. Yeah. If you post a link in the chat, Lug. That's why I asked your opinion on Shielded and Sorin. Alright, let's see. I can't copy paste for the notification view. Alright. We only have 2 Persists left on deck. I don't imagine we're gonna win unless we top deck one of those, sadly. Obviously that was a very well timed Thoughtseize from my opponent. We still have game 3. I've got 2 dogs and 3 cats. Yeah, it's just the issue is my husky just I don't know, huskies are something else, you know what I mean? They are really headstrong, and she just would never leave the cat alone. She would just be way too rough with it probably. Let's go. Okay. Feels good to be the one top decking this league, huh? Feels worse to be getting terminated. Yeah, fired. We only have one Persist left in the deck, although we do have Intense. Maybe we'll just draw the Persist. I got a 404 limb, so if you could, give me a working link, I'll take a look. Okay, dead to copy Voidwalker attack. Game 3. Is my husky loyal? Do they try to escape? Always tries to escape. Athena loves me. Athena's actually been way very clingy and needing pets and affection all the time because of Lucy. And then Lucy also tries to steal any pets. Anytime someone is petting Athena, she just tries to steal it. So it's just a dynamic we're trying to work with. But yeah, Athena is also very very much she doesn't necessarily try to escape as much as she really enjoys us chasing her. And so whenever she'll get free and she'll just run a little bit, investigate something, keep running. It's can be a hassle. But she's always just a step ahead of us. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Sorin is just not a playable modern card, and I also will say my first look is you have 9 4-mana threats, 9 4-mana spells in this deck. That is, in my opinion, too many 4-mana spells to play in any modern deck, including this one. Oh baby, let's go. Please no discard. Please no discard. Ragavan. I guess they're not that likely to Ragavan into Supplier. Damn it. Okay, it's fine. We only have one good card to discard anyways. And also, the Archon being in the yard against the Voidwalker deck is nice. So if I mill over a Vessel, which I didn't, I might keep the Awakening. I'll just play it tapped now. And I don't want to get hit by Ragavan, so we'll just leave these both back for now also. Yeah, my first impression is you have way too many 4-drops. I don't see why I feel like you need the Sorin.
I think it went well.
Of course it went well, sweetie. I would hire you.
I did really good. I think I did the best that I could.
Yeah.
And it was actually way less technical than I thought it was going to be, which is good.
Good, yeah. Esther is in the middle of a job interview process, and she had a big, intricate notebook full of notes for today's interview, which I thought was very impressive.
It was really just getting everything out of my head and putting it on paper.
If they're gonna attack with the Ragavan, I feel like there's a good chance they have a dashed Ragavan. Although maybe I do also need to attack my opponent until they die. So maybe I should have attacked. There's no personal info on that, is there?
Yeah, my social security is right there. JK, that's the date.
I did read the Ragavan correctly. This is kind of a bluff attack here. I kind of think that they wouldn't activate the Herson block. Kind of have to just get those through, you know what I mean?
Hello, I do for work. I am a market research analyst, and so it is marketing research, and it is mainly survey stuff, but it is also other methodologies and everything, and so I'm looking for another job within that field. But it is not the data mining and data analysis of CRM programs. It's mainly primary research projects, surveys, as well as mainly surveys, focus groups, stuff like that. It's really fun. I just like my job currently.
Okay, hold on. I think I'm gonna grief sack the grief to Village Rites. I could also make a case for not doing this, but they obviously have spells stuck in their hand. I feel like this is could be somewhat well timed. Alright, I'm going to take the Fable again, because they do have like plenty of black sources they can draw that won't cast their Seasoned Pyromancer. Okay, back to this deck tech. Don't play Sorin. This also feels like kind of like you are approaching Modern, maybe like deck building for like the first time or close to the first time, and you know, you're kind of in maybe the process of, I'm gonna play this so I can top deck Grief. You're kind of maybe, it feels like to me you're in the process of like, you know, learning to build decks a little bit, and you've kind of done so without a lot of resources here, and you've kind of come from a lens of, I need removal, I need threats, I need win conditions, and this is like a loosely controlled deck. I have one Creeping Tar Pit, and this is like certainly very much how like a lot of people approach deck building in Modern. You know, like very very similar to Pioneer and standard style deck building, just like threats and interaction. But the reality is here, like your curve is too high for a Modern deck. You are playing just kind of like threats that don't synergize super well together. Jace, Grist, Memory Deluge, Subtlety's like not that good to main deck. So your Snapcasters are not that good without, you know, one mana cantrips or anything like that. There's just like a lot more tension here than I would like there to be. Wait, they misclicked and they didn't Malakir Rebirth their Grief. Okay, I mean I had the Bone Shards, but it was kind of weird spot. And so, like, you know, to some extent, like, if you're going to play a control deck in Modern, like, I've played Sultai Control, you know, to my opinion, it's just, you know, largely a worse control deck than Blue-White Control, but if you're going to play Snapcaster, you need, like, 4 ops, at least. Grist is not a card, I think, that is very good without lots of cheap creatures to sacrifice. It is okay, but it's not so good that you want to be main decking 2 copies. Your mana is shaky when you're trying to play Abrupt Decay, Ice Fang, Archmage's Charm, Fatal Push. It's very shaky, and I don't think that you have the luxury of playing cards like Ice Fang with them, or Creeping Tar Pit is incredibly greedy in your Ice Fang deck with all these mana requirements. The Odawara is a card that I don't love with Ice Fang either. It's like, if you're gonna play Ice Fang, like you might even like need to play Abundant Growth. Abundant Growth is a card that really fixes your mana a lot for the Ice Fang, where it like fixes your mana and then lets you play a lot of basics. Alright, ban unlicensed Hearse is my new philosophy in Modern. Alright, another Rhinos opponent. We did beat Rhinos earlier this league. Yeah, that's true. I am the Sultai guy. I have been, against my will, dubbed the Sultai guy. Ooh, I'm just doing so good at milling over Archon. So next turn I can go Diabolic Intent for Grief, and then go on turn 3, Undying Evil, Grief, Persist. What do you think about that?
Sure.
And this plays around Force of Negation. Drew, 3 months health through my 3 months of anniversary.
Oh, this is
to get myself a cat on chat. I would love to get a cat.
I had a dream.
T done, 10 months, appreciate you.
I had a dream last night that we got a cat, and the cat's name was Lucy, and I was like, why did you get a cat? Why did you name it Lucy? We already have a dog named Lucy. This is gonna be so confusing.
That's me, the Sultai guy, naming our cats Lucy. Would it make sense to play Voidwalker in the sideboard as your graveyard hate? I don't know. I feel like because you have all this self-mill, you're pretty good against Living End. Dredge is kind of on the decline, but Archon of Cruelty also just like beats Dredge a lot of the time. So I don't really know why, like, what exactly you want graveyard hate for. I think a lot of Magic players have the philosophy of I am going to play graveyard hate in my sideboard. But I think for the most part, if you have a good Living End matchup and you have answers for Yawgmoth, you don't need to play generic graveyard hate necessarily. You need to just, you know, think about it.
Okay, we'll see. I think I have high hopes.
I have a complete confidence. The only way you wouldn't get it is if they're incompetent.
Sure.
Love you too. Correct. Also, yeah. Yesterday I played this deck. I played against a deck with Sanctifier and Vec, Kaya's Guile, and Dothi Voidwalker. It was rough. Dude, my opponent literally has 4 answers here. Okay, I have to take the Force, and then I go Undying Evil. How is their hand, like, literally 4 answers to this? So they dead this, and then I can go Malakir Rebirth, and then they respond again with an untapped red source. Is that better than just persisting the Archon? Makes me regret pitching the Malakir Rebirth, I guess. I don't think this is the hand I'd have to play against. I guess it's better. I could draw like another Grief too. Worse against a top deck Force of Negation. If you persist, they have Borrower. I know, but they also have they're gonna have Borrower no matter what, because they're gonna fire the Grief in response to this. Yeah, Brazen Borrower strikes again. Get their whole hand at this rate. Their hand is currently Gemstone Caverns Borrower, which I guess is not so bad. I mean, they could draw like Charlotte's Agent, play their Caverns, and fall to my Archon. I could also just, like, you know, wait and at least like Edict a Rhino next turn. They suspend the Footfalls. I mean, just have to wait, I guess. Okay, let's. I still want to wait. I still want to be able to. I still want to be able to like Edict one of the Rhinos here, but now I can Village Rites my Archon in response to the Petty Theft, which counters the Borrower, gets the Archon back in the yard for a future Persist, although I already have another Archon, I guess. Karaoke Cattle, sorry about your username being mispronounced, but thank you for your resubscription. I awkwardly told you you're also at Magic 30. No, I loved meeting everybody at Magic 30. I'm also, you know, just like all the nerds in the chat, somewhat of an awkward guy. But I always love to meet the Spikelings. Okay, another Persist. Awesome. So Unmarked Grave can give me Bloodghast, which should be good with Diabolic Intent. I also don't think I need to Bone Shards this Rhino. I think there's a good chance I just get to Persist trigger. Why not leave with the Forest since they use it as backup if they have the pitch? I mean, if the problem is if they're answering this with the Forest, then I don't get the Archon trigger, and the trigger is, you know, the best part of all this. Like, I'd rather than bounce it and like I get you know, make the discard and your Rhino. I think that makes sense. So they go into no cards in their hands. I think I'm just gonna cast one Bone Shards now, and then next turn I could go Unmarked Grave for Bloodghast, sack Bloodghast to the Bone Shards. I said about the Grief, you had Rebirth, so you could get the Force next to the cast. They didn't. So okay, so go. So Grief. Well, they had Dead Gone. So they had Dead Gone Fire Ice. So you're saying taking one of the removal spells, then Undy, they removal spell, Undy again, then they Force. I guess that's the best line. Best line. All right, take Chalice. I had Necromentia the first time I played the matchup. I think it's just too slow on the draw, and like you almost always just want to get Chalice instead of Necromentia. So I think we don't bring it in. Maybe bring it in on the play. I think that one Path of Peril, or sorry, I brought in more Path of Perils last time, so I ended up going down on Bone Shards. I wanted all the Thought Seizes because of Endurance. Oh, I ended up playing more Path of Perils because we were playing against Rhinos that was playing freaking Territorial Kavu. But maybe just one as a tutor target to clean up is fine, and we can cut a couple of Vessels. Yeah, it does feel good to be Borrower, Force, Fire Ice, Dead Gone in that spot. Not that it's like, you know, the most premium interaction ever, but... Yeah, cooldown on deck text is half an hour. I think that like next week likely I'm going to be increasing the cooldown timer to 45 minutes and increasing the price on deck text to 3 subs or $15 just because they've been detracting from the stream a bit I think with their quantity. Okay. Yeah, inflation is affecting everybody, huh? So I could take Force. And then take a Cascade spell. I could also take a Cascade. I could take Shardless Agent. And then if they force the Malakir Rebirth, then they're just have the Violent Outburst. I think that that's fine. Because then I could persist the grief, get the Violent Outburst. 100k seems fair. I mean, for the most part, I don't care about the number of channel points you have. Like, I don't care about absorbing your channel points. For me, for the channel point redemption, it's mostly like a good way to like reward people for watching and engage with people who are, not able to afford a deck tech, or just wanting to ease their way into the stream too. I think it's a good way to engage with people, and then just setting on a cooldown timer is fine. So like I don't know, maybe I'll increase the channel point option a little bit, but I feel like 50k is like still just like fine. Like it's not like real. It's not about the points for that, I guess. Yeah, so I might actually keep I might just keep it at 50k, just increase the timer and then increase the price of the deck techs. Okay, I don't need to really worry about... I'm going to play this, I think, for less life being taken, but don't really need to worry about that Force of Vigor. Legionnaire, thank you for the 13 months. Appreciate you. No, there's no financial incentive at all on Twitch for the streamer to get channel points. They're just a way to engage with you, the viewer. And I remember when they first came out, I was like, what is going on? This is so extra. But now I think they're great. I think channel points are just genius, and whatever executive came up with them did a really good thing for the platform. They're very fun. Is this deck kind of budget? I know it's like a little over 200 ticks. I mean, you could make it more budget without the fetch lands, just like playing all swamps and stuff. That would be fine. You're still playing Grief. Grief, Archon, Persist are the expensive cards, but in the context of Modern, really not all that expensive. I may do this as like a budget deck for Channel Fireball. Although wait, is Diabolic Intent an expensive card? It's probably like $10, right? Usually for budget Channel Fireball stuff, I've usually done like in a range of like $200. Why they bring in Force? I mean, they're just like not familiar with the list, No Bloodghasts. Persist like adult. Okay, I thought it was more. I was surprised it's not more. Intent is like 12. Okay, so Archon, Grief, Intent are the expensive cards. But beyond that, you can build it like it's like dirt. Oh, Bloodghast. Bloodghast is also expensive. Yeah, maybe this is not a budget deck. No real reason to Thoughtseize, because like anything they're gonna cast this turn, they're gonna cast anyways. Is Claim Feign a thing for the deck? I do like that Fame gives Archon haste. I actually think that's actually pretty interesting. Obviously, it's good with Vessel. Whoops, forgot to GG's my opponent. Okay, we get a 4-1 prediction. Obviously, the first leagues did not go very well. Oh wait, we already have a prediction live. Okay. Okay, let's keep this. We're going to one of Nykthos. The thing about like Nykthos is I've been kind of working on a Nykthos version that's very different, but Bloodghast is like an awesome Nykthos enabler, and you can only play 4 Bloodghasts, and all the other like weaker Bloodghasts kind of stink. We're up against Kahira. I think I just play Supplier, see what we mill. We mill an Archons, very big. I'm going to play Archfiend's Vessel. Another Supplier. I think I might just cast Bloodghast here. I want to save the Malakir Rebirth if I can for the Archfiend's Vessel also, especially if my opponent has Verdict. However, this may not be like a luxury I have, but I'll hold it for one more turn. Yeah, it really feels like they have Counterspell. So let's go to attacks. They might like binding my Bloodghast or something here. Well, that's binding my Bloodghast or something. So now, I think I need to intent here. Grab a Persist. I milled over 2 more Archons. Weird. I think I need to play this, despite me obviously wanting to be able to get a 5/5 demon. We're not just going to jam the Persist into all of this open mana. I could try to bait a counterspell with the Rites. The problem is they have 4 mana, so I think I'll just play the Supplier. Would love to mill over another Bloodghast. No luck. That's okay. I think I'm playing Village Rites this end of turn. We could play a ton of Unmarked Graves if you want to Bloodghast that much. I mean, you're pretty like capped on the number of Unmarked Graves you can play. You know what I mean? Or I don't know. There's not like tons and tons of room in this deck. I find that there's like not really many, if any, flex spots at the moment. But yeah, but maybe like more. That could be a good philosophy, I guess. Actually, like just like saying I'm gonna play more Unmarked Graves and I'm just gonna have Bloodghast more often, and it's gonna be sweet. That could maybe be actually the way to go. So I think I want this. Get back Bloodghast. Oh, I should have just discarded. Sorry, I was thinking I wanted to sack this. Yeah, I guess I'll just discard this Bloodghast then, which means I should have actually played the Hive, which is not the end of the world. I think there's a really good chance they counter this because it's a removal spell targeting the Teferi, and it seems like they have a counterspell, but are saving it for Persist, so I'm still going to wait. I could obviously be wrong. Bro is not legal in Moto, just Diabolic Intent. Okay, so we have Rally. Rally is a deck in Pioneer that was kind of good when Luris was around, and it kind of feels... And Intent does seem like a really good card in Rally, just being able to find your intents. This is something that I think is interesting. You have my attention. Casting Unmarked Grave is like casting Bloodghast. Yeah, so maybe this deck would be better if we just played... We cut the Archfiend's Vessels and we just played for Unmarked Grave. And then that way we would have much more consistent... Did I talk about splashing white? Yeah, I don't really want to splash white. Although I guess if I'm playing 4 Unmarked Grave, I am going to splash white, and at that point I will play a Unburial Rites and switch the green splash for white. Could maybe have pitched Grief first. Obviously, like they could have Leyline Binding here, but this is also a game where like hard casting Grief and hard casting Archon can't come up, and I think if they had a binding, it's also like somewhat likely they would have binding to Bloodghast. Okay, subtlety, pitch, days, undoing. Okay, I'll keep the Grief on top, I guess. Just Priest. I mean, Rites is 4 mana instead of 5. Like, it's... People like to think Priest is better. It's usually not. Add a couple Loams and Raven's Crime. Yep, just get a couple of Life from the Loams in there. Bucko. Then the Raven's Crime. That's all you need right there. Oh. I thought for sure this was going to be Supreme Verdict. I was so ready to Feign Death my Archon. Kind of maybe gave away the sauce there, huh? I mean, if they just put Kahira in their hand, we don't have like many decisions next turn, which would be nice. So they go for Narset, and we can grief whatever card they get off Narset if we want, but it's probably better to just Hive, kill both their stuff. They get Teferi. They get Teferi. This is a hard call actually. So I can grief, take Teferi, kill Jace, and then they have a Narset activation. The problem is if they find Days Undoing off Narset, we just lose. So I think that we are not so behind that we have to get something else on board, I guess. Okay, sorry, I keep meaning to go back to this. I think this does strike me as a good first draft. This strikes me as a pretty good first draft, although I feel like you could probably clean it up a little bit. I feel like this is probably a format where you do want 4 Fatal Push. This is also a format where... oh, you have the 4 Thoughtseize already. Okay, never mind. I feel like Blister Pod is likely going to be better than Carrier Thrall. Oh, you're sorry, I thought you were Absent. Never mind. I don't know. This honestly just looks sick. Wait, isn't Cutthroat worse than Celebrant? This is a 1/2. This is a 1/1, and I guess this gets around Leyline. A love for Corpse Knight. Corpse Knight is like a very different build, but I have a little bit of love for Corpse Knight. What can I say? I guess I should cast Bloodghast first. There's a chance they counter it to try to keep Teferi around. Very, like, they shouldn't counter it, but people don't always do what they should. What can I say? Yeah, I don't know. I don't say this that often, but this just looks like a great first draft, and I feel like you're supposed to play 4 Celebrant over 4 Cutthroat unless I'm missing something. Yeah, it's just a 1/2. Not like a big difference, but enough of a difference. And then like you're gonna want to like look at the numbers of some of these cards after playtesting. Like, do you want 4 Thrall? Do you want 2 Thrall? Do you want more sack outlets? If so, do you want to play 4 Woe Strider, 3rd Cartel Aristocrat? Like, just figuring out those numbers will take time, and it's not something that I can just tell you here. Oh, I would only play 1 Takenuma. Play like the 4th Caves. Wait, you don't have the Black-White Fastland? No, sorry. You probably just didn't realize the Black-White Fastland was legal, unless I'm missing it somewhere. Yeah, the Black-White Fastland is legal. You should play 4 in your deck, maybe over the Caves. Maybe I kind of think Caves might be better than the slow land though in this build. Oh no, don't go Narset into Days Undoing. Although they are dead on board, they have to go Narset into Days Undoing into removal. Can they find Counterspell? Their hand is Kahira. Concealed Courtyard, thank you. Okay, it's not so bad. They can't block the Grief. All my creatures have Menace or are Bloodghast, which is not too bad of a place to be. We're 1 mana away from hardcast Archon of Cruelty. I am gonna, take my time to kill the Narset, I guess, because I can't kill them here. Takenuma sounds nutty. Takenuma is so freaking slow. It's not nutty. I promise. Can this deck up to 3 Orborg and play a single Coffers for the backdoor Tutor Hardcast? The problem is you need 6 lands in play, right? You need 6 lands to hardcast Archon. It's just like, I'm not that into it. Oh, you could play an Agadeem's Awakening. Yeah, I'm not sure about that card, but you could play 1. I'm not sure what your plan for mono green is. Mono green seems like a really tough matchup. I don't know what the best plan is either. I mean, it's obviously like the issue for decks like this. Maybe the 4th push would go, some ways towards slowing them down. Okay, definitely want the Back to Nature. Want the Thoughtseizes. I don't think I'm bringing in the Needle. I think the Vessels are going down too. Yeah, I think that we'll do 1 more league, and then we were just talking about this, but I do think it makes sense to just play the full 4 Unmarked Grave and Rites instead of Archfiend's Vessel, because I was looking for like more redundancy for Diabolic Intent, but you can just, if you have Intent, you can just Unmarked Grave for Bloodghast, and Bloodghast is the best Intent enabler anyways. Yeah, Shambling Ghast. Oh yeah, Shambling Ghast is better than Carrier Thrall, because it's going to be 1 mana instead of 2, and it gives you a treasure, which is probably better than a Scion. You can keep this one. I think I'm going to put back the Rebirth. Could put back a land, different land. Put back the Rebirth. Why am I cutting the Bone Shards? Reactively answering a Planeswalker with a Bone Shards is not an amazing plan for this matchup. I think I left 1 in, right? You don't really want to draw more than 1 copy in this matchup, but I don't know, this happens a lot with decks like Control and decks like Tron. Is people like, what are you doing? You're cutting your Bone Shards against deck with Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, and Karn Liberated, but it's just like that's not really the axis that you can fight on so much, you know what I mean? I'm kind of scared to play this Bloodghast without Village Rites up, but I also like have seen my opponent's hand and they don't currently have an answer to it. It's a clean answer to Teferi. Yeah, but you can attack Teferi, but again, if they go Teferi minus and you use a card to kill it, this is not like that good of an exchange for you. And you have like other sideboard cards you need to bring in. I would rather Thoughtseize the Teferi if possible. If the goal is only to reanimate something, maybe Gravecrawler instead of maxing out on Graves. Gravecrawler sucks in a deck like this that isn't like just a pure aggro deck and is like not that good in general either. Damn it, freaking Narset against my Village Rites. Into Rest in Peace. Well, rest in peace me, I guess. We do have Back to Nature in the deck. Catch Me Outside. I mean, Gravecrawlers, makes more sense in an aggro zombies deck. But just like, 1 mana 1/1, 1 mana 2/1s that you're sacking, and maybe you'll bring it back one day. It's just not very good. Cost mana. What's great about Bloodghast is that fella doesn't cost mana. So Yori and Dai, but Kihira still exists. Next ban, Pause Chap. I mean, Kihira is, these companions that let you just play them without really any cost are pretty busted. Alright. Grief. Take the Jace. We have to rework the mana in the sideboard for the white splash to the green splash, but I think I'm sold at the moment. As cool as Vessel is, it's also like, the worst card in the deck probably. Oh, was I supposed to attack with Hive here, maybe? Yeah, I think I was probably supposed to attack with Hive. Good high chance of hardcast Archons this game. Did you just say rest in peace me, I guess? I might have said that. We would not mind drawing Back to Nature either. Kihira is so funny against these menace creatures. So my opponent's hand is Hallowed Moonlight, Dress Down, Force of Negation. I don't think that's a hand that I'm that into casting a Thoughtseize into. They have Dress Down. Spike, no. They have Dress Down. No. I think it's fine. Gonna have to be fine. Yeah. Oh, they're trading with the Hive instead of the Grief. It's interesting. Like, the Grief is just always at 3/2. I don't know. Not sure if that's the better one. I think I will Thoughtseize now, so if they like Solitude Response, or we make them do the thing, then we can Village Rites. Also, obviously, just
very content trading that one for Force of Negation. That's true, yeah. This dice to fairies, verdict, binding. Yeah, I forgot that I played blue white in Vegas. I forgot manlands are actually like really hard to deal with. It's like only Solitude. Did more thoughts on the sideboard of mono green for rally. I mean, I think like I said in the deck tech, like I don't know what the best plan is. Like there's just like not a single card you can play to have like a better time. And like maybe someone in chat has like some good ideas, but I can't think of something. Cycle Moonlight. Welcome down to 5. Prismatic Ending. 2 for 1, question mark. Okay. Can I draw Back to Nature? I would love to draw Back to Nature. They have 5 cards in their hand. Intends for Back to Nature, I guess, too. 2 Stitcher Suppliers. And a Dream. So we have to, like, milling ourselves for 3 with Rest in Peace always feels icky, but we didn't mill anything too bad, I guess. Help me become a Hammer player? Magic is about, growth and change, Evan. Finding enjoyment in different archetypes instead of blue-white control for 10 years is a healthy way to engage with Magic instead of becoming jaded and a member of Aspiring Spikes chat. It's good to branch out. Good to branch out. I encourage you becoming a Hammer player. All right, hasty 2-1 against my blue-white opponent at 3 life. Village Rites, so sick, so sick. Getting only 1 land away from Hardcast Archon. We got 2 lethal attackers and the Hive. Let's go. All right, 4-1 that league. 4-1 that league, and I think we're about to play an improved version as well. So things are taking a turn for the better after what was undeniably a rough morning. We opened up a Blood Moon. Perhaps an omen of things to come.